Let's see. Let's see, and why not? Why not have my little head in there? My hair's wet, but you don't care, right? You don't care, right? You don't care. I didn't think you did. All right, so Clara Reeve. In terms of concept and everything, we're all mapped out today. I know exactly what I'm doing, which is great. I love days like that, when I have a clear vision before I even start. Although days when I don't are fun too, because I have little surprises and then I end up with something that I completely didn't even know was going to happen 2 hours before, which is really fun. And that's kind of like the seed of like creative experience, you know what I mean? So I love that. Let me show you the quote first of all. Before we even go anywhere, let me show you the quote. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Show you the quote. Where's our quote? I did screenshot you quote. There you are. We are all reptiles, miserable, sinful creatures. That was sort of, I think I cherry picked this from, because like I've been saying over the past couple weeks that we've been doing these, it can be challenging to find, like, to cherry pick a apt, succinct, you know, thoughtful and relevant quote from the 18th century or 19th century, you know, from one of these writers. And so when I can find something like that, or, you know, pull something out like that, then I'm glad. And that one was, I just thought snakes, and I brought out my animals book and I marked off the snake area in it, the snake page. So we have a little bit of reference material, and I'm good. I'm very excited about that. So Clara Reeve, let's chat about Clara Reeve, who was alive from January 23rd, 1729 to December 3rd, 1807. She was an English novelist, best known for the Gothic novel, The Old English Baron, from 1778 is when that was published. She also wrote an innovative history of prose fiction, The Progress of Romance, in 1785. So that's after the Old English Baron. Cheers. The Progress of Romance. Her first work was a translation from Latin, at the time a language unusual for a woman to learn. She was a near contemporary of the Blue Stockings ladies of Elizabeth Montagu's circle. And now I'm curious. Elizabeth Montagu. Montague? I don't know how to pronounce her name. She was a British social reformer, patron of the arts, salonier, literary critic, and writer who helped organize and lead the Blue Stocking Society. Okay, this is Breadcrumb City. What's the Blue Stocking Society? An informal women's social and educational movement in England in the mid-18th century that emphasized education and mutual cooperation. It was founded in the early 1750s by Elizabeth Montagu, Elizabeth Vesey, and others as a literary discussion group, a step away from traditional non-intellectual women's activities. Both men and women were invited to attend, including the botanist, translator, and publisher Benjamin Stillingfeet. Due to his financial standing, did not dress for the occasion as formally as was customary and deemed proper, in consequence appearing in everyday blue worsted stockings. How cute! The society gave rise to the term blue stocking, referred to the informal quality of the gatherings and the emphasis on conversation rather than fashion. I love that. And by the 1770s came to describe learned women in general. Oh, that is so neat. Okay, so it's like this is like the cultural thread of how the term blue stockings back then came to mean learned women, women who were educated and on top of things, right? Cool. I love that. Excuse my shoulder. Did you hear that shoulder crack? Did you just hear my shoulder crack? All right, let's go back to Clara Reeve. She was born in Ipswich, England, one of 8 children of the Reverend William Reeve, M.A., rector of Freston and Kirsten, Suffolk and Perpetual. Okay. Her mother was the daughter of William Smithies, a goldsmith and jeweler to King George I. Vice Admiral Samuel Reeve was her brother. I feel like we did her already. But we didn't, I don't think. If we did her already, then I have like a blind spot in my memory because if she's on my list 2 times, that's crazy. Okay. I think there's just somebody else who's had a similar trajectory. Career. After the death of her father in 1755, Reeve lived for a time with her mother and sisters in Colchester, then moved into her own house in Ipswich. There, her first piece of authorship was a translation from Latin to the historical allegory Arginus by John Barclay, which she entitled The Phoenix, 1772. She was saddened by the reception her translation received, later writing, "It was the best book I ever gave to the public and the worst received." How many of us can relate to that? Cheers. I can. Reeve published at least 24 volumes over a 33-year career as an author. Wow. They included 5 novels, of which only The Champion of Virtue and The Old English Baron, her Gothic novel, 1777, became well known. The latter was written in imitation of the Castle of Otranto, or as a rival to it. The 2 have often been printed together. Let's click in to see what the Castle of Otranto, who wrote that. Horace Walpole. Okay. A Gothic story. The Castle of Otranto, a Gothic story from 1764. Isn't like Gothic writings are like this, it's just this gateway of like, there's just so much to explore. And luckily, with LibriVox, we can go in and look up authors and listen to them, which is amazing. So if you haven't tried it, try out LibriVox, Librivox. If I can remember, I will put a link in the description. It's a free public domain website where you can listen to books by authors like this, where their works are in the public domain. And all you have to do is search for the name. But if you don't get it on the first try, dig around, because I have searched for some of these authors on the first try and it has not come up, but then you will eventually, find it when you search other terms. Anyway, getting off track here. Let's keep going. All right. The latter, The Old English Baron, that's her Gothic novel, was written in imitation of the Castle of Otranto or as a rival to it. The 2 have been printed together. The first edition, entitled The Old English Baron, was dedicated to the daughter of Samuel Richardson, who is said to have helped Reeve to revise and correct it. It would have a noticeable influence on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That's our day 31 prompt, Mary Shelley. Reeve also wrote an epistolary novel. Epistolary? Let's look that up. Is a novel written as a series of letters between the fictional characters of a narrative. I love that. I read lots of books like that when I was a teenager. Reeve also wrote an epistolary novel, The School for Widows, in 1791, followed by Plans for Education in 1792, whose focus was on issues of female education. Her innovative history of prose fiction, The Progress of Romance, 1785, can be seen as a precursor to modern histories of the novel. Cheers. It specifically upholds the tradition of female literary history heralded by Elizabeth Rowe and Susanna Dobson. Dobson died in 1795. Rowe died in 1737. One story in the work, The History of Cheroba, Queen of Egypt. Ooh, that sounds fascinating. Inspired Walter Savage Landor's first major piece, Jabir, I'm not sure how to say it, 1798. Reeve seems to have managed her publishing career personally rather than relying on male relations to deal with publishers on her behalf. Well, that's brave. You know, back in the day. Good for her. Reeve, her death. Reeve led a retiring life and left little biographical material. She died in Ipswich and was buried, as she wished, in the churchyard of St. Stephen's next to her friend, the Reverend Derby. Influence. I know we're doing a lot of reading today, right? I'm curious. And I didn't read this ahead of time, so I hope that you will indulge me. We're almost done. Influence. Written in response to Walpole's Castle of Otranto, the Old English Baron was a major influence on the development of Gothic fiction, gaining popularity for the genre in universities among general readers. The contextual introduction that looks at Reeve in the context of late 18th century women's writing and the history of the Gothic can be found in this book. I'm going to read that again. A contextual introduction that looks at Reeve in the context of the late 18th century women's writing. And the history of the Gothic can be found in this book. Okay, so there's an introduction that's within the context of the time and of the socio-cultural landscape. Henrietta Moss was to use the story as a model for her own novel, The Old Irish Baronet, in 1808. Although, okay, do we care? Although Reeve's progress... All right, we don't. That's talking about something else. That's talking about progress of romance. I don't care that much about that. I care about her Gothic stuff right now. Reeve's contribution to developing Gothic fiction can be demonstrated on at least two fronts. First, there is the reinforcement of the Gothic narrative framework as one that focuses on expanding the imaginative domain to include the supernatural, but without losing the realism that marks the novel that Walpole pioneered. Walpole was the guy that wrote the book that she was writing her book in response to, just to clarify, or to help, because I know this is a lot of words, a lot of names, and a little confusing. Cheers. Guatemala single source today. Square one coffee. Let's see, but without... Secondly, Reeve also sought to find an appropriate formula for ensuring that fiction is believable and coherent. She spurned specific aspects of Walpole's style, such as his tendency to blend in humor or comedy that diminishes the Gothic tale's ability to induce fear. In 1777, Reeve enumerated Walpole's excesses. A sword so large, so this is her enumeration. A sword so large as to require 100 men to lift it, a helmet that by its own weight forces a passage through a courtyard into an arched vault, big enough for a man to go through, a picture that walks out of its frame, a skeleton ghost in a hermit's cowl. Hold on. Reeve enumerated? I have to absorb this here. Reeve enumerated Walpole's excesses. Okay. So she's saying these are the things that are ridiculous about his writing. A sword so large as to require 100 men to lift it. A helmet that by its own weight forces a passage through a courtyard into an arched vault, big enough for a man to go through. A picture that walks out of its frame. A skeleton ghost in a hermit's cowl. I think, what is a cowl? A cowl makes me think of neck, like a neck, cowl neck. Anyway. It's okay. I don't need to figure that out, puzzle out right now. Although successive Gothic writers, I get the picture. Although successive Gothic writers did not fully heed Reeve's emotional realism, she posted a framework that keeps Gothic fiction within the realm of the probable. This remained a challenge for authors after publication of The Old English Baron. Beyond its providential context, the supernatural often risked veering towards the absurd. Interesting. Okay. All right. So she had her own flavor, right? she did her own flavor of, Gothic, horror or terror. She did not like humor in her horror. She reinforcement of the Gothic narrative framework. It focuses on expanding the imaginative domain to include the supernatural, but without losing the realism. Okay, all right. So she was into realism. This is so interesting. Learning about these different authors has been very interesting. It's been very interesting, I have to say. It's been funny to find out like the little ins and outs and differences between like little micro subgenres of Gothic, and how there's terror versus horror, which I haven't talked about at all here on this live, but there's terror versus horror. Terror is being terrified, like fear, and then horror is, gore. And those are two different aspects of this style of writing, or this genre, I should say. Cheers. All right, let's get to drawing. And we're late now, right? 10:18. All right, we're going to zip through today because I have to go on early I want to pop on early to my second live today because I'm going out all day. I'm going out all day and I need to get a move on. So I have some inspiration books here to, help kind of get me in the mood or in the zone or figure out what I'm going to draw. So this is one of those Taschen icon books that I really like. And I was just flipping through this. It was on my desk already, and I just really like the general vibe of I love symbols, and these are very symbolic, imagery. So I really like these to look at and to sort of, get inspired by. And maybe I can work up maybe my composition can somewhat take a little bit from inspiration from these. And then we can look at this later. We don't even really need to look at this, but Halloween, I mean, really, what else needs to be said? It's great. There's all kinds of stuff in here I love. There's just great. It's like a pastiche. This is like a patchwork blanket of reference of any particular theme, and these books are really good for that because it doesn't matter. There's always something in here that you can kind of pull out or reference back to, and they contain lots of different threads. Am I making sense? Lots of different reference threads in one book, which is great. They're great to have. It's a great little series. They're very inexpensive to buy. You can buy them. You can get them used. And years ago, I got a whole bunch of them very inexpensively from a used bookseller online. I just kind of went on a tear and started collecting them. And I still have them, and they're great. I love them. Some of them I use more than others. Of course, because it's going to happen. Why do I have... Oh, I didn't put that there. I was going to say, why do I have frogs? Here, I was looking at... Oh, see, this book is so great. I love this book. I don't use this book nearly enough. I've been carting this book around for so many years and with barely even using it. And I'm so glad that it's open right now on my desk because I'm just tying up. Sorry if I'm bouncing you around. I had to tie up my plug. So these are, wait, Eastern Glass Snake, $7.98. I actually think this book is so old, you guys. It's like 30. I had this book before I got married. I've been married 31 years today. Today is my anniversary. So, copyright 1979 by Dover Publications. So this is... I did not buy it in 1979. I bought it in the 90s, but I bought it like, you know, in the first part of the 90s, I think. I think I might have bought it like the year I got married or the year before I got married, something. Anyway, excuse the noise. That is trash barrels coming in. Today's trash day. No. Oh my God. Is it Saturday or Friday? Today's Saturday, right? Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. I just got really, I just had a total, oh my God. I just had a total brain thing. Yesterday, Friday is trash day, and Saturday is the day that we take our barrels back in. So what am I talking about? It's Saturday. It's Saturday. And I'm drawing a snake. Let's draw a snake. What's going on out there? Okay. Just sketching it out real lightly. I think this is going to go pretty quick though, once we get moving here. And then we'll do a little head down here. Like this. Snake. Little snake head. Pointy. The eyes like that. Head is flat. Or flat nose-ish area, right? And then like a diamond shape. And it's almost like he has cheekbones, but he doesn't have cheekbones. Are you guys hearing the conversation that's going on outside right now? There's like some very active conversation happening out there. All right. I think that's good. And then we are all reptiles. We are all reptiles. Miserable, sinful creatures, right? Let's do... okay. I'm just writing in our text here. I'm going to zoom you just so you can see what I'm doing. And I'll turn the light up too for you. Okay, hopefully that's a little better. We are all reptiles. Guys, what's going on out there? We are all simple. Do we want to? Hold on. I have an eraser. I have a little eraser right here. And so I'm just going to use another piece of paper to clean my eraser off in here. You know, I don't think I'll be buying this pad of paper again. For Inktober, I purchased this Canson XL, which is a line that I love. It's a great great sketchbook line. It's just very dependable. Goes on sale a lot at Blick, or it has in the past. I didn't catch a sale this year, but you know, Blick has sales. Ooh, that looks weird. I'm not going to do that. Blick has sales twice a year, like dependable sales. I don't know about where you live, but they have a lot of accounts with schools. That they supply, and as such, they have sales in the fall and then on like holiday break time. So they have sale. They have like August month sale. That's like the big back to school, and then they have a sale in January for like break time when it's back to school from holiday break. So if you shop at Blick and you ever want to like do your stock up, plan it for those times. That's a really good time to get in on when they have like gigantic sales on sketchbooks and stuff. That's a good time to do it. I never told you this before, but I worked at Blick for a very brief period of time. In 2000, I always wanted to make a video about it, and I never did. It was a tough time because I was, my great aunt was, had a terminal illness, and that was hard. We were caring for her, and she had kidney disease as a secondary. I mean, that's what got her in the end, but it was a secondary from another disease that she had. We are all reptiles, miserable, sinful creatures. So, anyway, I think that might be partially why I haven't, because I was sort of, you know, doing other things. And like, I was otherwise mentally indisposed at the time. So, ooh, do I want to do this? This? Okay. Yes. This looks strange, so we're not going to do that. Right? And see, the problem that the weakness that I found with this paper is, and I mean, I guess it erases okay. I don't like the way that it erases. I don't love, I should say, because it's not bad. It's just not, I'm not a fan of like, I've decided. I have now decided, after all this time in my life, like marker or pen and ink paper, specific paper, is just not my thing. I like a good mixed media sketchbook, and like that'll do me, you know. I like the texture of paper with cotton in it and the fibers. I like absorbent fibers. I like a little bit of texture on in my surface. I mean, for all different reasons I like. But, you know, this is a good experience for me because I've never just like set out to fill a sketchbook of pen and ink, paper. And it's good because I'm learning a lot about this paper. This is the Canson XL pen and ink, 7x10. Anyway, I love this line of, I do love this line of sketchbooks, and I appreciate it because I love that they make it affordable for really anybody. You know, you don't have to. I like that it's a very decent paper for a price. Like, it's not like crappy paper is what I'm trying to say, and you can get it for a really good price. We are all reptiles, comma, miserable. And do I even need the comma? But I'm doing it anyway. Do we want to do, let's make this bigger because we have a larger word to deal with here. We have miserable, sinful creatures to deal with here. Miserable, sinful creatures. And then we're going to do like this. Sorry, snake, we need a longer body on you. I think part of my issue here is that I'm not turning my paper all over the place, but let's see. Let's see what we can do here. Can we do it? Can we do it? Okay, let me see. Do I have a squishy eraser anywhere that I can easily, yes, grab. Sorry about the bumping the camera. All right, we got a squishy eraser. I'm just going to do a little bit of pickup. I just don't want to have to be really scrubbing the paper later. And once I pick up my ink, it's going to go pretty fast. So I'm just going to get the rest of my words down on the snake. And then we're just going to go in. We're going to just go in and get into it with the ink pretty quickly. We are all reptiles. And then we'll go miserable. Let's do, wait. I wanna make it so I can see. How's that better? Okay. I need to have enough room to write miserable. That is the crux of my issue right now. We are all reptiles. Miserable. Oh, okay, hold on. Switching gears again. So I've just discovered from looking at this that I can't really, I think writing miserable here is going to work out better if I keep my letters in one direction, like this. See? Instead of turning it with a snake. Ooh, this is tough. This is a big word. This is a long word. Let's start backwards. Miserable. L. B. A. Miserable. Okay, so I'm good. We're good. Oh, let's move the M up a little bit because I think it looks strange if the M doesn't start, if the top of the M is not aligned with at least half the I think it's going to look strange. So, and I actually really do, I want to emphasize the stagger a little bit because we're using that as we're using it as a, it's kind of additional design element in this, so let's like use it more. Let's use it more strongly. We'll do it more as long as I don't forget. We'll use it more when I get into the ink. This is really, my sketches are not, we can mix things up, you know. We can mix it up. We can mix it up when we start inking, which we're gonna start inking in a momento. I just want to get the words down real quick. I want to just get things where they're generally going to end up. Oh. And then we can sort of play around. You know what I mean? We are all, excuse me, we are all reptiles. Reptiles. Okay, so we can really emphasize the word reptiles here because we have room to do it. And we can really play with that stagger more because this is a big part of the snake. And we only have one word here to put, so, but I'm really trying to keep everything in the same direction because that's just sort of the style that I wanted to. I think it works better with all segments of the snake because, you know, it's just gonna, it works down here and it works up there. You know what I mean? Oh, you know what we can do? We can do this. We can do all here. How about that? Would that work out, do you think? We, and then let's really drag this R out, right? We are all reptiles, comma, miserable. Okay. If I could turn back time, I'd make miserable a little bigger. Share, don't tag me or whatever they do with the copyright thing. Miserable. Okay, stagger. Got to keep the stagger on my mind because if I forget, I can easily forget to stagger. You know, the up and down, the you know what I'm trying to say, right? The stagger. Miserable. Staggering my. All right, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, snake, we're making you bigger because I need more room. Get a lot more bendy here, snake, please. Snake needs to be bendier. Miserable. No. Nope. M is over here. I is here. S. E. R. A. B. L. E. Staggered, stagger. Okay, that's gonna have to do because I can't sit here for much longer and work on that. Okay, miserable, sinful. F-U-L. All right, creatures. Creatures is our last word. And we're going to do it. We're going to fit it in here. How are we going to fit it in here? Wait. we have a curve that we need to clean up. And we have this curve here. And then we can buy some more space here. Like that. And then okay. Oh, I don't like that. It's too bendy. We're gonna have to turn your head, guy. We're gonna have to turn your head a little bit because I need more space. Miserable, sinful creatures. How's that? Oh, sorry guys. I gotta turn this real quick just to get my... Having trouble getting my angle. The angle that I want to get. Where's my snake head? There's a snake head. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Okay, and then we have that big mouth here. And then his... Wait. Let's do the shape first. So first we have this head. And then it's like that. And then the little nose has like a little pop up, and then like that, and then it has like a jaw sort of that goes like that, and then his little nose hole, and then nose hole, and then eye, and then the eye is here. So I'm just using his little nose hole as like a marker for where I'm going to put the eye, right? And then there's his, and hey, it could be a female snake. And it probably is, right? So now, okay, I'm going to have to C R. Wait, let's get the angle right here. C R E A T. I'm really playing with fire here. We're just going to have to go with it because we're just going to have to go with it. We're just going to have to go with it, and that's okay. We're going to go with it, and then we're going to write, we're going to do a period here, and then we're going to write I'm going to just turn this a little bit just so I get my letters correct, because I'm feeling like my letters, I feel like my letters are like moving and I want them to stay. Let's get a ruler. I am not a ruler person, okay? But here we are. But here we are. This is like where we have ended up today, and that's okay. I'm going to do, no. I was like, I'm just testing. So really, creatures is really where I'm having a problem. Creatures is where I made the bend. The bend happened at creatures. So let's use the line. I just did the little lines here, and I'm just gonna reconfigure my letters because I lost it. You know what I mean? I lost that thread of, I lost my bendy thread. If that makes any sense to you, I don't know. I lost my bendy thread. Okay, miserable simple. Okay, that's better. And now we're gonna write her name here, and I just so I don't, just so I make sure to keep on track, I'm just gonna do like, I mean, even see, I didn't keep on track up here either, and that's okay, but I just want to catch it before I, you know what I mean? I just want to catch it before I go and start inking. I will say it's a really good thing that Miss Clara Reeve only has a few letters in her name because, yeah, because challenging. Okay. All right. What pen? What pen? Because I'm looking at this. Oh, maybe this one. I love the Sharpie. I love this one. Okay, this is a Sharpie brush pen. I'm going to show it to you real quick because it's fun to use. It's a really nice, really easy brush pen. You get a lot more control when you use something like this than you do with something that is an actual brush pen with real ferrules, I guess, or a real brush. Because here's the thing, with a brush like this, I love a brush like this, don't get me wrong. A brush like this is amazing, but there's limitations with like dots and things with it, and there's angles that you have to sort of abide by to get the, it's more tricky to use to get certain effects. This is a felt tip, and you're gonna get, I mean, if I went, I would get a dot, you know? I mean, I'm not looking for a dot. This is just for just for the purposes of this is just for the purposes of explaining. I'm gonna turn, do I want to turn this like this? Because in the interest of keeping my letters the way that I want them to be, I'm gonna do like this. And this is like, I know it's a little risky, but I want my letters. I want my letters to all be like even, you know. I really want to stay on top of the angle. So I'm gonna just do my angles. I'm gonna do this so I can, you know, have that be top of mind, you know, because that is important to me in this piece. I want all of the angles to be correct-ish. Okay. I just put the music up a tiny bit. Because sometimes I feel like when I'm not doing a lot of talking, it's nice. It's nice to have music. Okay, let's see here. L. Wait a minute. Let's do all. Let's do all of our vertical lines. And then we're going to go in and do the other lines. Oh! I did a C. I'm going to do an S. And I'm going to do another S. I'm going to do all the S's because I want the S's to... I want the S's to... They don't necessarily have to match or anything, but... I mean, part of the thing of hand lettering is it's not a font. So, like, don't get too, you know, on yourself when things don't, you know, when things are not completely looking exactly, you know, maybe as you want them to. Like, for instance, that V that I just messed up, and that's okay. But, you know, just remember, hand lettering is hand lettering. And it's art, you know what I mean? It's not, I mean, it's art with, with, I don't want to say rules, because no. It's art with guardrails, right? It's art with its own set of guardrails, I will say. So just when you're doing stuff and you're, you know, getting picky on yourself, just remember that. And it's kind of funny because it is sort of a sub genre, right, of like the design illustration hybrid, and design is very much, you know, very much it's like a very mathematical type of art in some ways. So it's kind of a dichotomy, but we're just gonna work with it because life is full of things like that. Like, this should not make sense, but it does. All right, I'm gonna put go, and then continuing. I don't really need to narrate this part, right? But yet I'm narrating. Miserable, sinful creatures. See, I could not make a circle like that if I was using my trusty and well-loved Pentel brush pen. But I can do it with this guy. I can do it with my fabulous, fabulous, fabulous friend, the Sharpie. I really like this pen a lot. It's clutch, you know, like it really comes in. It comes in clutch when you need it. All right, I'm going to be doing a lot of turning. Wait, actually, let's finish our lettering before I start doing that stuff. All of that. Trying to remember trying to stay on top of my angles here, because I really want the angles to be correct. Let's do we are all reptiles. This is an L. Oh, sorry about that. We are all reptiles. Miserable, sinful creatures. Okay, let's do this. Let's do our loops. I don't know if this is the perfect angle to do my loops, but I'm doing it. I found the angle and I'm doing my loops, and that's okay. All right, let's see where we are now. Let's zoom you out. All right. There we go. There we go. All right, let's ink this. Let's ink this. All right. So I'm gonna do a more thicker, like in the curve here, because that's where we have our shadows, right? Okay, it's 11 o'clock. That means we're almost done. Okay. The snake anatomy is very interesting. And it's like, I'm really not used to drawing snake anatomy. And so it's challenging for me, so. Kind of interesting. I think if I could go back I probably wouldn't have made the ink right here in between these two words as I probably would have lightened that a bit, but I don't think it's bad or anything. I'm just you know, Monday morning quarterback or whatever they call it. That's what I'm doing. Like what I did right here. See, just didn't close all my lines as much, close them up as much. Don't think that's necessary. I'm sure glad I grabbed this pen today, because this pen is just really doing a lot of, it's doing a lot for me here. It's definitely picking up the slack where I would have had some challenges with my brush pen. This pen is making things easier going for me. And I'm really happy about that, because, you know, I don't want to be here for like 4 hours. So I can't be here for 4 hours. I could have been here for 4 hours, you know, but this brush pen is like, it's good at, you know, helping you measure where you're putting your energy, and it helps you to sort of, I don't want to say shortcut things because that's not accurate, but it does allow you to, you know, do some things with less like pushback from your pen that you would get with a brush pen that actually is a brush. I'm used to using a brush pen with an actual brush, and I'm used to navigating. It's like you're constantly in conversation with your pen, and you kind of have to work with it, if you know what I'm saying, because your brush pen has a personality, and it's not going to bend for you. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a one-sided relationship, because it's not, but it has a very strong personality, and it's picky, you know? It's a picky guy, so. Okay. All right, here we are. Let's see. Let us do this. Do that. All right, this is looking good. I'm gonna move you like this. And like that. I hope that's okay. And then we're just gonna do some little bit of curves and sort of confirming like the angle here with some marks to just help solidify that. We are all reptiles, miserable, sinful creatures. I think this would look really good with like a black background. Do I want to do that? I kind of want to, but what I'm gonna do instead right now is I'm gonna just pull. I just have to be careful with this paper, with this gummy eraser, because it actually has stuck to my ink before when I put the ink down, so you kind of have to like be careful with it. You can get like 80% of the pencil up if you do this pressy technique, which is great, but eventually you're going to have to do, you know, some traditional erasing to get like the teeny little bits and stuff, little parts. And when you do that, that's like another roadblock you have to sort of navigate. So I like to clean my eraser off first, and then when you're rubbing your eraser on your paper, like don't do it for too long in one repeated direction, because that can oddly, like the heat that creates can sometimes, depending on the paper you're using, and I think on this paper it would happen, it can it can sort of like warm the eraser up so that it sort of melts into the paper a little bit. If you've ever seen that happen, I have, and perhaps you have, where your paper, you get like a smudge of eraser on it. It's like a smudge of eraser mixed with pencil, and then you just have that smudge forever. It's like warm, it's like a hot eraser smudge, you know? So if you don't want to rub too hard, and you don't want to rub too repeatedly for too long in one area, you know? One cool thing about this Sharpie pen is that I'm not experiencing either the ink over lightening or the ink erasing like I do with the brush pen. This seems to be a little bit better with that. So yay. And I also really like the experiment of using one pen. It does do it a little bit, but it's not quite as prominent as it is with a actual brush pen and the ink that I put into it. You know, I've been using the Sumi ink. I'm not sure if I would get the same type of ink erasing and smudging and all that as I get with Sumi ink as I would get with India ink. I'm not sure. I am not sure, but this pen is pretty, it's like more foolproof than other brush pens, and that makes sense because it's felt, but it's still really fun to use. It still does a great job of giving you a variety of marks you can make. And you can see here, I don't know if you can see it from the angle of the camera right now, but that bit of erasing I just did lighten the face of the face of my snake. But there you have it. So here's our final. We are all reptiles, miserable, sinful creatures. And what I could do is I could do a black background. That would help it stand out. I could do some snake skin patterns and really work that in. I mean, this is like a design that you could take, not you, but me, that I could take and use in a variety of different ways if I wanted to. You know, it's fun to work this way and put yourself under a time frame and, you know, let the concept marinate a little bit and then just jump on top, because that's how things get done, you know? And sometimes it's like done is better than perfect, because if you overthink too much, or if like you sit on your idea for too long, or even if you like over concept your idea for too long, like, so do, you know, more thumbnails than you need to do of a certain concept, or, you know, like overthink a certain concept, and then there's kind of taking a little bit of the magic out of it sometimes, you know? I like to sort of try and stay in that zone of, I like to stay in the zone of curiosity, and like, I could make a mistake. I could, you know, maybe I could have refined this here or there, but it's like, you can take that into another iteration if you want to do that. If you want to, expand on the original concept, you can do another version. You can always do that, but it's nice to get something on paper for yourself, and then you know, have something to show for your time and your energy and your work, you know? And then you can do something later with it. I like to marinate on my designs and like let them sort of speak to me if they want to be reformatted into something else or redesigned into something else down the road. It usually will tell me. And that's the beauty of doing these every day, is it really does bring that out. So I hope you enjoyed this today, and have a great day, whatever you do. And I am going to be back very shortly to do a page of my Night Garden Fairy Cats book on Procreate and ink it, finish inking what I was working on yesterday. I had one page that I did the sketch online with you guys in a stream, and usually I finish one page a day, and I did not finish my page yesterday, so I'm going to finish that page today, and then I'm going to go out. And I hope you have a great day, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay? Have a great day. Bye.